pride was my doom, as I have never witnessed so smart, deft, and cunning warrior.
Isometric RPGs are where strategy, storytelling, and style collide. And across decades, the genre has delivered some of the most unforgettable experiences in gaming. If crunchy builds, clutch crits, and choices with consequences light your soul like a crit to the backline, this is the video to end all backlogs. We're talking god-tier narratives, squad micromanagement, and that sweet three-quarter view. These 14 titles prove isometric design is still one of the boldest and most badass ways to tell a story. Grab your dice, sharpen your tactics, and let's break down the absolute masterpieces of the isometric RPG world.
Rogue traders, daring explorers who benefit from a unique style of freedom normally unheard of in the Imperium, with means to decide the fate of entire regions.
Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Kicking around the grimdark void isn't something you do casually, and Owlcat Games made sure of that when they dropped Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader in December 2023. As the first fully fledged CRPG set in Games Workshop's universe, it instantly carved out a place among the best of the isometric greats. The developers, already known for Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, took their experience with deep, branching narratives and tactical systems and transposed them into the Coronis Expanse, a setting where every decision feels like it ripples across galaxies. The story puts you in command of your own void ship and dynasty, steering a rogue trader's fate through war, profit, heresy, and faith in the God Emperor. You're going to be blasting Xenos and heretics while shaping your crew's destinies, from loyal companions to dangerous psychers and even suspicious Xenos allies. I'll admit, the moral weight of some choices had me staring at the screen for minutes before clicking. Combat brings fully isometric turn-based tactics with cover, environmental hazards, and companion synergies that make every encounter a puzzle. Available on PC and consoles, it's a sprawling 130-hour campaign that proves CRPGs can still be bold, brutal, and utterly addictive.
Among ancient ruins, evil grows once more. The seed of corruption advances, spreading dread and despair.
Path of Exile 2. You'd think a free weekend would just be a marketing gimmick, but Grinding Gear Games turned it into a perfect excuse to showcase how massive Path of Exile 2 really is. The campaign spans 6 acts across Rayclast, with over hundreds of environments and monsters. Plot-wise, the corruption that once ravaged the land has crept back, threatening civilization with a sickness that warps both flesh and mind. You step in as one of 12 character classes, each with 3 ascendancy specializations, giving a staggering 36 playstyles to explore. I've been floored by how flexible the dual specialization system feels, letting you swap between different weapons or elemental builds on the fly without punishment. Gameplay is all about freedom. Socketing support gems directly into skill gems removes the headaches of the original while still offering ridiculous build complexity. Add in new weapons like spears, flails, and crossbows, and every encounter, from 100+ unique bosses to sprawling endgame systems, feels handcrafted for mastery. Available across PC and consoles, this one is shaping into an isometric titan. Desperados 3. Few studios understood the art of isometric tactical stealth like Mimimi Games, and Desperados III stands as proof of their mastery. Built as a prequel to the cult 2001 classic Desperados Wanted Dead or Alive, it revived a long-forgotten series and established itself as one of the best tactical RPG-styled experiences in years. The storyline follows John Cooper on a quest for redemption across the Wild West. He's joined by a diverse cast, Doc McCoy, the methodical bounty hunter. Hector, the burly trapper with his infamous bear trap. Kate, the charming manipulator. And Isabel, the mysterious practitioner of voodoo. You'll love how every mission feels like a sandbox puzzle. Success demands experimenting with character synergies rather than relying on brute force. Gameplay leans on stealth and precision. The maps are meticulously crafted, letting you sneak, distract, and eliminate foes in countless ways. The showdown mode, which lets you pause to queue up actions, turns chaos into cinematic execution. With difficulty options, non-lethal approaches, and optional challenges, it rewards replayability. Available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, it's a brilliant reminder that tactical isometric design can still feel sharp, fresh, and completely badass.
100 years ago, this realm was teeming with life. Gardens flourished and cities thrived here. But now, death reigns over all.
Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Owlcat Games took everything they learned from Kingmaker and leveled it up massively in 2021 with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Built on the Pathfinder First Edition rule set, this CRPG gives you staggering flexibility, base classes, races, and literally over 1,000 spells, feats, and abilities. It's the kind of system that had me theory crafting builds before I even booted the game. The story is set during the demonic invasion pouring out of the World Wound, where you're thrust into a crusade that can end in salvation, damnation, or something stranger. Choices aren't all cosmetic. Align yourself with mythic paths like Angel, Demon, Lich, Trickster, Aeon, Azata, Gold Dragon, Swarm that Walks, or simply pursue the mortal Legend. Trust me, you'll pause for ages on whether to embrace the Lich path. It redefined the entire narrative and companions. Gameplay lets you switch seamlessly between real-time with pause and fully turn-based combat, which works beautifully for tackling advanced mechanics like mounted combat or large-scale tactical encounters. Available on PC and later consoles, this isometric beast is easily one of the most content-rich RPGs in years, and a modern benchmark for story-driven design.
I have met him doing my camp patrol near the North Road Gate. He just came at us like a raging bull. First he knocked my friend with a shield.
Achilles Legends Untold. Ancient Greece has inspired countless games, but none quite tackle it like Dark Point Games did with Achilles Legends Untold, which hit early access in 2022 before rolling out in full. Instead of retelling Homeric myth, it throws you into a gritty what-if tale. Achilles struck down at Troy, only to wake in Tartarus with no idea who pulled the strings to bring him back. From there, it's your legend to rewrite, whether by carving through corrupted soldiers, dueling Paris and Hector, or facing monstrous beings straight from myth. Gameplay gives us stamina-based Souls-like combat with traditional ARPG progression. The fights demand precision, dodge too late, and you're back in the underworld. Land a perfect parry, and you might slay a god. The Constellation-style skill tree adds some flexibility, letting you shape Achilles into a sword and shield tactician, a dual-axe whirlwind, or a heavy-hitting greatsword brute. Players will find the Gear system, where enemies flank, bait, and coordinate, a refreshing change from the usual brainless mobs. Exploration takes you across handcrafted locales from Troy's smouldering ruins to eerie underworld rifts, all dripping with mythological detail. Playable solo with optional co-op arenas, it's available on PC and consoles.
Have passed since the Cataclysm. The Manacallan Empire, all but forgotten. Many seek the lost secrets that lie at the heart of its ruins.
Solasta, Crown of the Magister. when Tactical Adventures released Solasta Crown of the Magister in 2020. It kinda set the gold standard for digital tabletop fidelity for me. The game was released with early access in 2020, while the full release was in 2021. Licensed to use the Dungeons & Dragons SRD 5.1 rule set, it's one of the most faithful recreations of pen and paper mechanics I've ever seen on PC. From rolling for stats to triggering attacks of opportunity, everything feels like a real campaign brought to life. The plot drops you into the shattered world of Solasta, where your custom-made party of 4 uncovers the truth behind an ancient cataclysm. The narrative is shaped by player-made heroes, race, class, personality, even dice rolls, so no two playthroughs feel the same. The game actually respects dice outcomes in conversations, and this will result in some hilarious fumbled dialogues. And combat is turn-based, squad-driven, and highly tactical. You can shove enemies into pits, topple columns onto foes, or exploit light and darkness to your advantage. Post-launch updates added online co-op, higher-level caps, and the Dungeon Maker, a full campaign creation tool where you can build and share adventures. Pillars of Eternity's 2, Deadfire. The 2018 sequel to Pillars of Eternity expanded the CRPG genre in directions we hadn't seen before. The plot is immediately epic. The rogue god Eothas rises, shattering your keep and stealing part of your soul. From there, you set sail into the Deadfire archipelago, captaining your own ship to hunt down the deity and uncover truths that could shake the world of Eora. The gameplay is a masterclass in flexibility. You're free to chart your own course across dozens of islands, managing your ship as both a stronghold and mobile base. Party dynamics are equally deep. 7 companions bring branching storylines, evolving relationships, and dual-class builds that let you experiment endlessly. You'll find yourself replaying entire sections just to see how different character synergies and decisions played out. Obsidian backed the game with major expansions like Beast of Winter and Forgotten Sanctum. Available on PC and consoles, Deadfire is one of the most richly written, mechanically satisfying and replayable isometric RPGs ever created. Fallout 2. Before the Wasteland became a 3D sandbox, Fallout 2 from Black Isle Studios showed how deep an isometric RPG could cut. Set in the year 2241, you step into the shoes of the Chosen One, grandchild of the first game's Vault Dweller, tasked with saving the drought-stricken village of Arroyo by retrieving the legendary Garden of Eden creation kit. The mission goes from humble beginnings into a confrontation with the Enclave, the remnants of the US government wielding terrifying biotech and power armor. Players still remember that first encounter with Frank Horrigan, a fight that felt like staring down the apocalypse itself. Gameplay is brutally flexible. The special system lets you craft any kind of character, from silver-tongued diplomat to kamikaze brawler. Dialogue trees are extensive, often hilarious, and reputation systems ensure your actions echo across factions, crime syndicates, and towns. Combat sticks to the isometric, turn-based action point system, targeting limbs, managing ammo, and using perks like Bloody Mess or Sniper create endless build variety. Still playable on PC today, it remains the ultimate reminder of how choice-driven storytelling built the foundation for modern RPGs. Baldur's Gate 3. After 2 decades of silence, Larian Studios brought the legendary Baldur's Gate series roaring back in 2023, and they set a new bar for isometric RPGs entirely. Developed over 6 years, shaped by early access feedback, and built on the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set, BG3 delivers a campaign with scale and freedom most RPGs only dream about. The plot wastes no time. You and your companions are infected with a mind flayer tadpole, and the race to cure it becomes a sprawling epic across Faerun. Across 3 acts, you'll navigate idyllic wilderness, cursed lands cloaked in shadow, and finally the teeming streets of Baldur's Gate itself. Choices feel alive here. Almost every dialogue or quest can branch, overlap, or collapse entirely depending on your actions. I couldn't believe how often just one decision spiraled into hours of new narrative. Gameplay is turn-based and fully modeled on tabletop dice rolls. Every persuasion check, every fireball, every backstab feels authentic to pen and paper D&D. With systems that let you exploit terrain, improvise with magic, and truly roleplay, Baldur's Gate 3 is the new gold standard of the genre, playable on PC, PS5, macOS, and Xbox Series XS.
Welcome to reality, baby.
Sure thing, champ. Lead the way.
If you could only find your gun.
It's okay.
With full voice acting for every single one.
Disco Elysium. When Disco Elysium came out in 2019, it shattered expectations of what an RPG could be. Built by novelist Robert Kurwitz and his team, this isometric masterpiece trades swords and fireballs for existential dread, political ideologies, and one of the most compelling murder mysteries ever penned in a video game. Playing as Detective Harrier Harry Du Bois, you wake in a trashed hostel room with no memory, a destroyed life, and a corpse swinging behind the building. From there, every step through the ruined district of Martinez feels like peeling back another layer of personal failure, societal decay, and fractured humanity. The gameplay drops combat entirely, instead leaning on dialogue and dice rolls. Inland Empire whispers paranoia. Logic builds chains of thought, and electrochemistry eggs you on toward the bottle. I found myself arguing with my own mind as often as with NPCs. The Thought Cabinet lets you internalize ideas that shape Harry's worldview, quirks, and outcomes. With the Final Cut expansion adding full voice acting and console support, and the 2025 Android port making it portable, Disco Elysium has only grown in reach.
May wield an iron fist, bend with sorcery, show mercy, or crush all who defy you.
Attack!
Tyranny. What if the evil empire already won before you even pressed start? That's the premise Obsidian Entertainment dropped on us with Tyranny in 2016, published by Paradox Interactive. Instead of the underdog hero fighting tyranny, you play as a fatebinder, judge, jury, and executioner in service to Kairos, a godlike overlord who has already conquered the known world. The brilliance here lies in how your choices shape the fractured aftermath of conquest. Do you enforce the brutal law, side with rebels, or carve out your own path to power? I loved how even during character creation's conquest mode, your past decisions rewrite the political landscape before the game even begins. The setting of Terratus is gritty and morally complex, with factions like the disciplined Disfavored clashing against the chaotic Scarlet Chorus. Companions, from Barik, the Armored Zealot, to Sirin, the Archon of Song, all reflect the game's central tension between loyalty, survival, and ambition. Combat builds on the Pillars of Eternity engine, but adds spellcrafting, combo attacks, and alignment-based powers that feel distinct. Available on PC, Mac, and Linux, Tyranny may not have the mainstream fame of Baldur's Gate 3, but it's a bold, unforgettable masterpiece that dares to let you play on the wrong side of history.
A bleak wilderness where barbarian clans and tribes of giants roam the land, and fierce dragons rule the skies.
Neverwinter Nights. Back in June 2002, BioWare shifted gears from the Infinity Engine classics and launched Neverwinter Nights, a Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition powerhouse built with an ambitious vision, not only to deliver a sprawling single-player campaign, but also to empower players with the Aurora toolset to build their own adventures. The true OGs remember diving into modules from the community and realizing this was more than a game. It was a living ecosystem. The official campaign runs for around 60 hours, throwing you into the Forgotten Realms as you try to stop the deadly wailing death plague ravaging the city of Neverwinter. With Lady Arabeth and a band of shifting allies, the quest spirals into betrayal, cult conspiracies, and the climactic battle against Morag, Queen of the Old Ones. The narrative may not have had the intimacy of Baldur's Gate 2, but its breadth and flexibility still impressed. Gameplay fused traditional D&D rules, dice rolls, feats and skills, with full 3D isometric exploration. And the coolest part was the multiplayer. Up to 96 players could gather on custom servers, complete with dungeon masters guiding campaigns in real time. Expanded with Shadows of Undrentide and Hordes of the Underdark, Neverwinter Nights remains one of the most innovative RPGs ever, playable today on PC, Mac, and Linux. Planescape Torment. This 1999 release asks you just one question: what can change the nature of a man? Built on a modified Infinity Engine, this Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition adaptation pushed story over combat, giving us the Nameless One, an immortal amnesiac wandering the multiverse in search of why he cannot die. Starting in Sigil, the City of Doors, the journey drags you through mortuaries, chaotic planes, and confrontations with your own past selves. The writing is unmatched. Thousands of lines of dialogue, philosophical debates with NPCs, and moral choices that ripple through factions and companions. I'll admit, I spent as much time reading and role-playing responses as I did in combat. Battles exist, but they're secondary. Persuasion, wit, or even sheer presence often resolve encounters more powerfully than blades or spells. Companions are unforgettable. Morta the sarcastic floating skull, Dak Kon, the oath-bound Githzerai, Anna the fiery tiefling rogue, and Fall from Grace, the chaste succubus who runs a brothel of intellectual pleasures. Enhanced editions now make it playable on PC, consoles, and even mobile, but the heart remains the same. Planescape. Torment is less about victory and more about identity, memory, and regret. A true narrative masterpiece in RPG form.
They are waiting for you to claim what is rightfully yours. Fight, explore, and rule your way. The enormous Pathfinder universe is at your disposal.
Pathfinder Kingmaker. Before Wrath of the Righteous, Owlcat Games made their mark in 2018 with Pathfinder Kingmaker, a Kickstarter-backed epic that brought Paizo's tabletop adventure path to life in isometric form. Inspired by Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, you're not just an adventurer clearing out the stolen lands. You're crowned as a baron or baroness, tasked with forging order in a lawless frontier where every choice shapes your kingdom's stability. The story is sprawling. There's political intrigue with classic fantasy threats. Bandits, trolls, beast plagues, and even an ancient lich test your growing domain. But behind it all is Nerissa, a nymph cursed by the Lantern King to destroy 100 kingdoms, with yours set to be number 100. Few RPGs make you feel the weight of rulership like Kingmaker. Watching your decisions ripple from your companion's loyalty to the fate of your capital is incredibly rewarding. Gameplay lets you toggle between real-time with pause and turn-based combat, faithfully adapting Pathfinder mechanics with deep character customization, alignments, and class variety. Multiple expansions, Varnhold's Lot and Beneath the Stolen Lands, expanded the adventure further. Playable on PC, Mac, and Linux, Pathfinder Kingmaker proved that a small studio could deliver a massive, choice-driven RPG that stands proudly alongside the classics. And that's all about 14 isometric RPGs that define what the genre is all about. Rich storytelling, tactical gameplay, and choices that stick with you long after the credits roll. Be it the philosophical weight of Planescape Torment, the political scheming of Tyranny, or the massive scope of Baldur's Gate 3, every game here proves why isometric RPGs remain timeless. If you've played them all, you know their impact. If not, consider this your next quest log. So which of these masterpieces tops your list? Let us know in the comments below.
Prove them wrong, or lose your mind.